All right. Hey, what's going on? Welcome. I love seeing everyone saying where they're from. Where are you from? What's up? It's Ari, her stand. I am from LA. I see we got somebody from Hawaii, DC, Seattle. Cole here from Pivotal Agency. We got an agent in the house. Phoenix, Southern Colorado, Chicago. What up, Evan? Lucid, Mike, Atlanta, Lubbock, Texas, Salt Lake City, Utah, now San Francisco. We got another person from LA down the road. Neighbors, more LA, Canada, Vancouver. What's up, Brazil? Hey, Australia. What time is it in Australia right now? Thanks for staying up or waking up early or one of the two, or something like that. Toronto, South Sweden, New Jersey. James, what up? Arnold, New York. Andrea, Indianapolis. What's going on? Phil, Toronto. Cool. Nice. Great. Las Vegas. Juan Pablo. How's it going? Wayne. Mark from Minnesota. Dylan, promoting this Spotify link. Wasting no time. Okay, cool. Well, we all know what we're here for. Boston, Motown. I'm assuming that means Detroit. What up, Tom? Moscow. Wow. What up, Hannah or Hannah from Moscow, Russia? Very cool. We have a worldwide audience here today. That's awesome. For those of you who don't know, my name is Ari Herstand. I'm assuming you all know that. But if you don't, if someone just sent you the link and said, yo, you should check this out, it might help. Welcome. Hey, I am the author of How to Make It in the New Music Business. That's my book. It's a big one. I'm also the founder of Ari's Take, which started as a music business advice blog and is now an artist development and music business education company. I'm an independent musician. Forbes called me the poster child of DIY music. I'll take it. And I front the funk band. I just launched a funk band last year called Grassroots District. I'm going to talk about that a little bit later. And I also launched Ari's Take Academy towards the end of last year. And I'm going to talk about that in a little bit too. Yes, Juan says second edition is coming later this year. That is correct. Currently, it is scheduled for November 5th. Not too far away. Second edition. Yes, great book. All right, it's already helped me out. Awesome, thanks, Nicholas. Cool. All right, so what we're gonna do today, you're here to learn about Spotify growth, and we're gonna dig into everything Spotify growth, 3 myths and 3 truths of Spotify growth. So how this is gonna work is, I love how active you guys are on the chat. That's great. If you're watching the replay, what up? How's it going? If you're here with me live right now, you can ask questions at the end. So I'm going to go through this. I put together a slideshow presentation, a little keynote thing, and I'm just going to go through it and talk it through. If there's something that needs clarifying, you can ask it, but I'm not really going to pay attention to the chat box, so I can kind of get through everything. And then I'm going to take questions at the end. So if you have questions, maybe like write it down so you don't forget, and then ask me again at the end, because the chats are flying by and I will get sidetracked and I will want to stay on task. Okay, here we go. Let me start this slideshow. Start. Okay, you can see that, yes? Great. 3 myths and 3 truths of Spotify growth. Okay, so I am, let's just dig into Spotify first by the numbers, just so we're all on the same page. We understand right here we go. Okay, so Spotify currently, and these numbers just came out a few days ago actually, has 217 million monthly active users. That's worldwide. And Spotify has 100 million paid subscribers. So almost half the users pay for the subscription, which is huge. It is 40% of the global streaming market. So of all the streaming services out there, Apple Music, Amazon, all of them, even Pandora, Napster, Tidal, Deezer, all the ones, Jio Savan in India. Spotify actually is 40% of the entire market. And there are over 40 million songs on Spotify. A lot of songs on Spotify. And there's some statistic, which I don't have now, of like all of those songs. There's like a certain number of songs, I think like 1 or 2 or 3 or something, that have never been played, not even once. We are going to make sure that you are not one of those songs that never gets played on Spotify. Okay. Oh yeah, and just to clear some things up, so we all are on the same page when we talk about streams. That's another word for plays, but Spotify counts a stream as a 30-second play. So, you know, every platform counts streams or views a little bit differently, whereas like, you know, on Facebook, they count a video view as only 3 seconds. You know, and it's, even if it flies by in your news feed and it just sits there for 3 seconds, they count that as a view. YouTube counts a view as 30 seconds. Spotify also counts a stream as 30 seconds when you're going to get paid for that stream. So a paid stream equals 30 seconds. Okay. So, oh yeah, and if you stick around until the very end, it's not going to go that long, it's about an hour or so. You're going to learn how to earn a living from Spotify and the other streaming services. Crazy, I know. So stick around until the very end. Okay, cool. All right, let's dig in. We're going to start with the myths. 3 myths of Spotify growth. Myths. Number 1, you can't make a living off Spotify streams. That is a myth. That is inaccurate. That is totally not true. Over 30,000 artists are making a living off of Spotify. And you can kind of estimate that as, you know, 35,000 plus a year or so. That's like averaged out around $15 an hour for 40-hour work week. Daniel Ek, the CEO of Spotify, he said this April of 2019, this year. And so actually, there's a lot of artists that are making a lot of money off Spotify. TuneCore announced just today, actually, I just pulled this up, that in Q1 of 2019, so that's January, February, March, just the 3 months of the beginning of this year, their artists made $83 million. And in last year, they paid out $308 million. In 2018. I hit up Philip at DistroKid, I hit up the CD Baby people and the AWOL people, because I want to get the numbers from all the independent distributors. TuneCore or Billboard just wrote this article today, and they had some TuneCore numbers. But the fact of the matter is, there are thousands and thousands and thousands of independent artists earning millions and millions of dollars from streaming in 2019. And so I think we're debunking that myth right off the bat that Spotify doesn't pay and you can't make a living off of Spotify streams. That's just not true. So debunked, boom, done. Bye-bye. Okay. Myth number 2, streams and monthly listeners equals fans. That's not true. So what we mean by that, and I know this might be a little confusing, is that when you see the numbers on, let me pull this, let me go to the next one here. All right, so take a look at this, for instance. You see, when you pull up Spotify on your desktop version, this is what the desktop version looks like. And you see, oh, monthly listeners. Wow, this person has almost 1 million monthly listeners. You're like, wow, they're super famous. They must have a gazillion fans. That's fans, right? Monthly listeners, that's people. And look at this person, just in the top 5 songs, has almost 20 million, over 20 million streams. So they must have a ton of fans, right? Not true. Just because you have monthly listeners or lots of streams does not mean you have lots of fans. That just means that you got a lot of people to happen to listen to your song. And as we see with this artist, look on the right side, Discovered On. This artist is on all of these very, very, very popular Spotify playlists, official Spotify playlists. But the number that you really want to look at, this is on the About section, is the followers. These are the actual people who have clicked follow. I like this artist. I want to follow you. And that's only 10,584 of almost 1 million monthly listeners. That's less than 1% of all the listeners that this artist has. Those are the fans. And these are just people who clicked follow. There might not even really be a fan. So you want to, when you're looking at that follow monthly listeners ratio, that should equal at least 5%. If we go back, this is about 1%, just over 1% actually. You want it to be at least 5%, but regardless, just because you have tons of monthly listeners and tons of streams does not mean you have tons of fans. We are living in an era where there are artists with millions of streams on Spotify who cannot draw 50 people to their local shows. That is the reality of what we're in right now. And so I want to dig into all of this, and we will get into how you can actually get fans on Spotify. But we just want to clear up that myth that just because you have tons of streams and monthly listeners, it does not mean you have tons of fans. Okay, moving on. Number 3, you need to be on playlists to get massive streams. Not true. Yes, playlists absolutely can bring you massive streams. And as we saw with this artist just before, we saw that they had over, 20 million, 30 million streams on the top 5 songs and 1 million monthly listeners. Yeah, because they were on all of these official hot Spotify playlists. That doesn't mean that you have all these fans. It means that there was one dude or dudette at Spotify who really dug your music and was like, I really like this, and started to put it in all of these hot playlists, and boom, millions of streams, millions of monthly listeners because of one person at Spotify. Cool, that's awesome. We all could use that extra dough because that pays, that's money, that's awesome. But that's not the only way to get streams, and actually that's not a really good way to get streams, and I would not encourage that be anyone's strategy anymore. The music industry has been totally obsessed with playlists. How can we get on Spotify playlists? I need Spotify playlists, that's everything. Everyone's release strategy for the last 3 years has come down to how can we get on Spotify playlists? We need to break out of the obsessive playlist mentality. It's not about playlists anymore. Playlists are fickle. You get included on a playlist like that artist I just showed you, and there's literally thousands more of those kinds of artists. And I hear of artists that this happens all the time, and I'm laughing, but it's actually really sad, where they get included on some really hot playlists and they start getting millions of streams a month, which is earning them thousands and thousands of dollars a month, and they're able to quit their day jobs. Hooray, that's awesome, fantastic. And then they get dropped from those playlists. Maybe that person at Spotify got fired. Maybe they just didn't really dig their music anymore. Or maybe they were over it. Who knows? You get dropped from the playlist, and then your plays drop back down to virtually nothing. Remember that artist who only had 10,000 followers with 30 million streams and 1 million monthly listeners? Well, if they got dropped from all those playlists, they're not going to have those 1 million monthly listeners anymore, because the majority of all their streams were coming from those playlists. You do not want to bank on playlists as your strategy for growth on Spotify, because that's not how you build a sustainable music career. Because when we're really talking about what are we in this for? We're not in it for Spotify streams. Yeah, we'd like to make some money, and that's a good way, solid way to make money these days. Absolutely. You want fans, human beings that are going to be with you for life and that are going to support you for life, that are going to be with you, people who really love listening to you, your music on your profile, choose to pull you up. They're like, I want to listen to you today. Not just, I want to listen to my favorite Spotify playlist, and oh yeah, there's that one song in there that I really dig. They don't even know who you are. They don't even know what your name is. It's not about that. So there's a friend of mine I want to talk about for a little bit. I've talked about, if you're on my email list, you know I've talked about Lucidius, this hip hop artist, quite a bit, because he is a perfect example of an artist who is on no official Spotify playlist and has done incredibly well. And we're going to talk about how he's done that in a little bit as well. But if you can see his numbers there, I don't know if it's too small for you to see, but that is over 500,000 monthly listeners. And if we look at his top 10 songs, we're looking at over 20 million plays, streams, more, 30 million streams. My math is not great. 30 million, that's a lot of streams. But now let's check this next out. Check out how many official Spotify playlists he is on. That would be 0. he is on 0 official Spotify playlists. And the unofficial ones he's on, well, the first one is just Lucidius Music, which is him, and then some other ones that are only bringing him about 5,000 listeners. So he's getting, as you see here, over 500,000 monthly listeners and 62,000 followers. That's a solid ratio. That's over 10%. Just like we said before, you want that to be 5% or above. He's at over 10%. Absolutely. Okay. Another friend of mine, Ron Pope. So Lucidius was a hip hop artist. Ron Pope is a kind of a pop rock singer-songwriter from Nashville, used to be New York. We toured together back in the day. As you can see, his first song has 127 million streams. I mean, this guy actually across all streaming platforms has over 1 billion streams. And he's got 1.5 million monthly listeners just on Spotify. We're just looking at Spotify. And check out the playlist he's on. Yes, he's on 2 official Spotify playlists, and then the others are a bit smaller. But if you add up those monthly listeners, the first one, that's 47,000. Then we got 21,000. So, and then the other one, 16,000. So let's say all of the playlists that he's on is bringing him, let's say 100,000, maybe 200,000 listeners a month. Okay. He has 1.5 million monthly listeners. So let's subtract 200,000 monthly listeners from the playlist. He's still at 1.3 million monthly listeners with 227,000 followers. These are real fans that are choosing to listen to these artists, to this artist. Okay, so now we're getting into the truths of Spotify. Those are the 3 myths, and we will review them at the end. And yes, if you're popping in late, I see you. Don't worry, you're all going to get the replay for this to watch for about a week. Okay, truth number 1. Playlist plugging services and distributors who claim to get you on playlists are not effective. So let's talk about that for a second, because if you've been following me for a while, if you're on my email list, you know that I review playlist plugin services a lot. I review distributors. Obviously, I have that comparison guide of all the biggest distributors out there. I've tested out most of these. I have, much to my sometimes detriment, I have tested out shady services that were utilizing bots, which got my album removed from Spotify. I've tested out, I've gotten into fights with distributors because they were being shady and they were ripping off musicians. And so I get into public fights with them on Ari's Take or on Twitter or whatever. So I try to seek out the truth, and I try to find out what is working and what does not work. So what I want with playlist plugin services, I tested a bunch out. Most recently, you know that I've tested out Playlist Push, which is one. And that, of all the playlist plugin services out there, has been one of the more legit ones. But at the same time, we just ran a campaign and it's very genre specific. It doesn't work for funk or R&B or soul, which is what I'm doing right now. And even though we got on some decent sized playlists, bringing some decent streams, they weren't bringing us fans. Remember, you don't just want streams. You don't want to just get on playlists. You want fans. They weren't converting to fans. And on the contrary, they were actually fucking up our fans also like section. Whereas, and I'm still dealing with this. And if you go to our Grassroots District Spotify profile, you'll see that our fans also like. It's shifting through the days because I asked them to stop our campaign because it was really messing it up. But I don't know what they're using, but for some reason, when we ran this playlist push campaign, we were getting all of our listeners and the playlists and all the fans also like artists were like Japanese artists or Korean artists, or I didn't understand what language that the song titles were in. And I'm like, yo, what happened here? Because before that, we had all the hottest funk, soul, R&B artists as our fans also like. Now, mind you, we only have 3 songs out. This is a very new project. We just released the 3rd song a month ago. But I tested these playlist plugin services out. I know that everybody wants to get on playlists, but you got to stop thinking that way. You don't want to get on playlists. You actually don't, okay? You want fans, and we're going to get to that. And also distributors. I have worked with a lot of the distributors, and some distributors they like to woo you over to their distributor saying, hey, we have ins at Spotify and we're going to be able to pitch you to Spotify playlists. Don't believe that, because, and I did this in my review of AWOL, and they are, I really dig the people there. I honestly, they're one of the great distributors as well. However, they were giving me personalized service. They were talking it up, saying, we're going to get you on, we're going to try. We have a playlist plugin department. We really love your music. And we sat down in the offices and I played them the music. And they're like, yeah. I even sent them 20 official Spotify playlists that I thought our music would work on. We're a throwback funk soul project. I have, there was, I didn't expect that we were going to get on Rap Caviar or Today's Top Hits or anything like that. This is not a new hip project. This is very, very genre specific, very niche. And no, they didn't get us on any playlist, even though I'm like, yeah, this Funk Outta Here playlist would work. So distributors don't really have the power like they used to. On the contrary, I've talked to friends who use DistroKid or CD Baby or TuneCore, and they get on playlists, and there's nobody at those companies pitching you to the playlist editors. It's a very different system now, very much based on algorithms. You can submit yourself on the Spotify for Artists backend to the editors. So you just want to remember that going in, that do not rely on your distributor to get you on playlists, because you're going to set yourself up for failure and you're going to be extremely disappointed. And honestly, I would not waste your money on playlist plugin services. For one, they're extremely expensive now. And two, they're very genre specific. If you do pop or hip hop music, some of these playlist plugin services could work for you. And I have definitely heard of some very good success stories. But when we're talking about what does success mean, they'll say success is getting a bunch of monthly listeners and a bunch of streams. However, the issue with these playlist plugin services is that these curators, the playlist curators, and I know this because I have a very popular Spotify playlist, and I tested Playlist Push as a curator and as an artist because I wanted to see it from both sides. And so my playlist called Low Volume Funk, it has about 18,000 followers and about 3,000 monthly listeners to the songs in there. So it's very active, very popular. And curators get paid to listen to the song. So you submit a song and you pay the amount. You actually don't pay per curator, per submission like you do on Submit Hub, which I've also tested. I have a review of that too. You pay a bulk amount. So they come up with a rate. They're like, it's going to cost $2,000 for you to submit to all the playlists in the genres that you selected. Well, I don't recommend that because one, that's way too expensive. And two, a lot of those playlists do not have your kind of music. And I know this because I submitted my songs as the artist when our new song came out. And yeah, we got on like 17 playlists. That was awesome. But all of like the 50 playlists we didn't get on, or the 75 or whatever it was, they're all like, yeah, really cool song. Sorry, we only feature hip hop. I'm like, okay, well then why was this song submitted to your playlist? There's like, oh yeah, really, really good song. Really, really dig it. Yeah, we only do Americana. I'm like, oh, okay, well then why was this submitted? So you don't really have a say in who your playlist gets submitted to. As it is now, it's kind of a flawed service unless you're pop or hip hop, straight down the middle. That's what the majority of the playlists on. But even then, like I can't hit this point enough. You don't want to just rely on playlists. It can be part of the strategy, just like PR can be part of the strategy. And direct digital marketing can be part of the strategy, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. It's all can be part of, just like touring. A lot of it can be part of your strategy. It cannot be the only part of the strategy. Okay. Number 2, truth of Spotify growth. Followers. The follower growth matters more than monthly listeners. Now, okay, what does that mean? We talked about monthly listeners before, what that means. And we know that just because you have a bunch of monthly listeners doesn't mean you have a bunch of fans or followers. It just means that maybe you got included on playlists. The monthly listeners number fluctuates up and down. It goes up. Even the biggest artists in the world, if you go check out Lady Gaga or you go check out Maggie Rogers or Kanye, or the 1975 or any of them, their numbers are fluctuating by hundreds of thousands or millions a month. They release a new song, boom, monthly listeners go way up. They haven't released a song in months, monthly listeners go down. People get tired of the same music. They're not going to keep listening to you. So monthly listeners are going to go way up and way down no matter who you are. No matter if you have 1,000 monthly listeners or you have 10 million monthly listeners, they go up and they go down. The followers growth is what you want to be looking at. That should look like a diagonal line going this way. I don't know which the orientation is. I don't know if you can see me, but it should be going up diagonal, up to the right. And let me show you what that looks like. Okay, so this is my band. This is Brass Roots District. We only have 3 songs out. And like I said, okay, so if you see our monthly listeners number, that's at, what is it, 16,400 now. 2 weeks ago, it was at 20,000. They go up and down. As you can see, our number 1 playlist is one that I created called Low Volume Funk, which is bringing us, what is that, 2,600 monthly listeners. The others aren't doing it. We have almost 7,000 followers, so we're at like a 40% ratio, which is cool. And the other good thing about followers, and as you're driving people to this thing, you start to trigger the algorithmic playlist like Discover Weekly, Release Radar. Even though we're not on any official Spotify playlist, we triggered these algorithmic playlists. And when we released our new song last month, as you can see, we got 1,500 listeners. So of our, actually last month, our listeners were around 6,000 or so, or maybe it was like 5,000 by the time when the song was released. So Release Radar, if you don't know what these algorithmic generated playlists are, that's just what they sound like, algorithms. They're not humans that are putting your songs in there. It's just, they have a little algorithm and it gets triggered. And so if enough people listen to your song that are kind of in the same realm, that triggers Discover Weekly. They're like, oh, a lot of people are listening to this song, so we should put it into, we're going to test it on all these users' playlists. And it's called Discover Weekly is their playlist, which is every week they get an algorithmic generated playlist based on their tastes, based on their personal taste of similar artists that Spotify thinks you're going to like. That's what Discover Weekly is. So if you're not a Spotify user, that's just what it is. And people love this. The users of Spotify love Discover Weekly because it's all songs that they've never heard before. And Spotify knows what songs you've heard and not heard. So we trigger these. Release Radar is only when you release a new song. So we released, since our campaign, we've only released 1 new song, and it got almost 2,000 streams in that first week, because Release Radar only is for 1 week, with 1,500 listeners. So of the 5,000 followers that we had, 1,500 of them or so, or 1,400 of them found us on Release Radar and got that new song. So, and then there's other ones that get generated as well. Okay, truth number 3 of Spotify growth. Direct marketing is the key to success on all streaming platforms, not just Spotify. Now, what is direct marketing? I know that is a fancy term and your eyes are probably starting to glaze over and it's like, oh my gosh, I don't know what that means. All it means is just finding where your fans are and inviting them into your world. And that's what you really want. Playlists gets your song into their earbuds, but it's not really inviting them into your world, because all they know is that when they play this playlist that they really like, they like all the songs on the playlist. Sometimes, very rarely, but sometimes, but very, very rarely, will they tap through and be like, who is this song that I like so much? They tap through, maybe they'll give that artist a follow. Most people stop there. Maybe they'll jump on over to YouTube or Instagram or Facebook and start to dig deeper, or their website, or start to search press articles or something like that. That's extremely rare. So what digital marketing is, specifically with digital advertising, but marketing is all encompassing, is targeting where you think your fans are all over the world, online, obviously. And we're not talking about billboards, because we're just going to talk digital direct marketing, but it's going directly to who you think your fans are and inviting them in. Okay, so I want to talk about Lucidius, which I mentioned before. He's this artist who he built up his fan base, his listenership, his monthly listeners, his streams, everything through digital direct marketing. So 3 years ago, Lucidius had 150 monthly listeners. That's 150. That's not 150,000. That's literally just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 150 monthly listeners. He had 45 followers on Spotify, 45, about 1,500 likes on Facebook, 1,200 followers on Instagram, was making less than $100 from his music on streaming services. We've all been there. Everybody starts somewhere. That was 3 years ago. Now, Lucidius today has over 500,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, 50,000 followers on Spotify, 250,000 likes on Facebook, 100,000 followers on Instagram. So clearly, these are real fans. These are real people who are finding him on these places. He's got 45 million monthly streams across all services, over 100 million total streams, and is making $15,000 to $20,000 a month just from streaming revenue. So how did he do this? It's not playlists. He's not on any official Spotify playlists. I also want to, well, we'll get into that. So Lucidius, he has mastered digital marketing, direct marketing, and that is going directly to people, utilizing different forms of advertising and tweaking them and testing it and going and finding where his fans were, inviting them in. So he's a friend, and just a few months ago, it was actually at the end of December, he told me what was happening. And he's like, yeah, I saw his numbers on Spotify, and he's like, oh yeah, they're similar on Apple Music too. I'm like, whoa, what did you do? How? Because he's got no label. I believe he uses DistroKid or maybe TuneCore. I think it's DistroKid. He's got no label, no manager, and he is on no official Spotify playlists. I'm like, okay, how did you do this? Was it PR? Did you hire an expensive publicist? Nope, never hired a publicist. Okay, so he's got no press. This can't be right. Did you pay for bots? These are fake numbers, right? These are all just manipulated. Nope, absolutely not. These people are blowing me up on Instagram. I'm getting more DMs in my inbox and Instagram than I can keep up with. People are saying that my music has changed their life. He showed me his inbox. I'm like, okay, this is crazy. How did you do it? So he showed me, and we tested it with Grassroots District. And at the time, let me show you this little graph here, because as you can see, this is Grassroots District. This is my funk band. Again, we just launched last year. We have 3 songs out. If you can see, you can't really see the months down there, but I highlighted nothing was really happening. We had 178 followers Thursday, December 20th. This is of 2018. And then look at that line that virtually goes straight up. And today we're at almost 7,000 followers, and it's growing 50 followers a day almost, basically. It fluctuates based on how much that we are spending on advertising and digital marketing. And it's not much. It's about $5 a day is what we're really spending on this. So I'm like, okay, this really works. That's pretty crazy. And this is the last 7 days. As you can see, the graph is just kind of going up. Or no, last 28 days. That's what this is. And yeah, somebody asked, does he play? He hasn't, Lucidius, has not actually played shows yet. He has grown his audience online. His fans want him to play shows, and I've been encouraging him to play shows, and I'm kicking him in the ass this year. I'm like, this is your year to start touring, and you got to start playing shows. No, he's only played a handful of shows his whole life. He's been a studio artist, and yeah, he's going to start playing this year. So follow along, and I'm sure he's going to be he's going to blow up, because at this stage, with the amount of fans that he has, very first tour, would not be surprised if he's playing 500 cap venues, if he sells them all out. And then the next tour, he could be playing 1,500 cap venues. He'll sell those out, and it's just going to grow. I mean, this is how it starts now. It starts online. And no, he hasn't been beating the ground like a lot of us, myself included, playing empty bars and bringing 10 people, and the next time bringing 20, and the next time bringing 50. And yeah, that's the old school method. And sure, that's tried and true. And you can do that, except it's very expensive and it takes a long time and it's demoralizing. I have been there. So that's the thing. Tom's asking, yeah, but how about CD sales? Okay. His audience is very young. His audience is teens and 20-somethings. They don't buy CDs. So I would say CDs, I don't know if he's ever printed a CD, to be honest, but it doesn't matter because he's making $20,000 a month from streaming. So we have to break out of this sales first mentality. We are in a streaming era. If you haven't noticed, that sales have tanked hard. Download sales have tanked hard. iTunes is rumored to shut down in the next couple of years. It's not about downloads anymore. It's not about CD sales anymore. If you play live and you have an older demographic, absolutely print some CDs up. I still sell some CDs at shows, especially to an older demo. Personally, I don't have a CD player. So if I buy a band CD, it's because I want to support the artist. But if they have a t-shirt, I'm buying the t-shirt. I'm not buying the CD because I have nowhere to play the CD. And it's like, yeah, it's cool to like open it and look at the liner notes and whatever. But it's like a souvenir now. I don't even have a CD player, and I'm 33. So like, I'm not even that young, but I don't have a CD player. So CDs are on the way out. It's not about sales anymore. If you really want to grow exponentially and quickly, it's about streams. That's just the fact of the matter of where we're at right now in the music industry. Okay, so Lucidius and I have teamed up for my new Ari's Tech Academy course. And I know if you've been following me, you know I've mentioned this. And what Ari's Tech Academy is, it is an online learning environment where we teach you how to do this. So Lucidius and I we've teamed up because he's very brilliant, and I'm like, as soon as I heard about this, I'm like, we have to share this immediately. And normally I would write a blog article about it, be like, okay, go do this. But he stepped me through it. I'm like, okay, this is really fucking complicated. This blog article would be about 100 pages long. So this is not a blog article. I'm not going to write a book about it because the book would take a year to come out. So we're going to step you through this in a course. And what that is literally, we have recorded these lessons where he goes, okay, he shares his screen, click here, type this in, click here, make this video, do this, do this, do this, do this. And it works out. So if you're interested in this course, you can, wait, let me show you. Here you go. Okay, this is the course. If you want to know about this and you want to join us in this course, this is something that is truly game changing. It didn't test it for Brassers District, didn't just for Lucidius. We tested this on about 10 artists of all different genres. Obviously hip hop, funk, soul, a singer-songwriter, a pop artist. We did an a cappella artist actually, EDM, and it works for everyone, or most people, I should say. I'm going to get to some of the questions because I have gotten a lot of questions about this. And so I wanted to take this time to answer some of those questions too. Okay, so what this is what this whole course is about. And these numbers are based on a lot of what other courses are out there, business programs, other universities, what they're offering. It's the kind of like 3 courses in one because it's not just for streaming. We have, he's showing you how to grow your Instagram followers. We're calling this streaming and Instagram growth because the fact of the matter is right now, the best engagement tool that artists have, engagement, and where fans like engaging with their favorite artist the most, is on Instagram right now. So that's where we're kind of encouraging people to form community with the artists on Instagram, but also sending them to stream your music on Spotify and Apple Music. And depending on whatever streaming service is the most popular in your country, that's where we're sending them to. We talk about direct marketing core strategies. The value of this is $5,000. We're not charging $5,000. That's what you would pay if you were going to take these at a university, or there are other direct marketing courses online. This is $47 a month for 12 months, or $497 upfront. These are United States dollar, that's USD. If you're in a different country, the conversion rate's a little bit different. We priced it here because It's affordable enough that any artist that wants to invest in their music career and take it seriously can afford $47 a month. Some of you can afford just flat upfront, but we priced it high enough because the main reason we wanted to weed out people who are not serious about their music career and were not willing to invest in this, because we have a community. We have a private Facebook group that's extremely active right now. I mean, it's insane. We launched this about a month ago, and right now everyone who's doing this jumps in the group every day. They're asking questions like, "Oh, I set this up, and this is what's happening. A little help here. I'm not really sure what's going on with this." And Lucidius and I are in there answering questions, but everyone else is in there collaborating, brainstorming, answering questions. And even taking conversations in different ways. I've seen collaborations like artistic collaborations. I need a French horn player. I play French horn. That kind of stuff. So we want to keep the group high quality of people who are very serious about their music career. So that's why we priced it here. It's very affordable. You can totally do it. And to get you off your ass and off the fence and to kick you in the butt, if you enroll in the next 8 days, we're going to hold a live Q&A video session. Lucidius is also going to talk about newer strategies, different things that we're working on. That's another thing with this course. It's a living course. So as things evolve and shift with Instagram and Spotify and everything else, we're going to be updating all the lessons. And so within the next 8 days, if you enroll, we're going to have a live Q&A session that you can attend and ask questions and stuff like that. So a few questions, that's a lot. I just want to go over them, and then I'm going to take all your questions about whatever you want to talk about. I'm down for a full-on Q&A. It can be about this. It can be about whatever. It can be about best places to eat in LA, whatever you want. So when does this course start and finish? It's a self-paced course. This is not like a course at like Berklee College of Music, which I've taken online, their courses. Some of them are solid. Where you kind of go week by week with the professor. We have all these video lessons. And if you sign up tonight, you can start tonight and you can zip through them, or you can go at your own pace. And the Facebook group, we are there for when you need to ask questions, and you can jump in and ask questions whenever you need. How long will I have access to this course? We are guaranteeing that this is going to be updated and stay live and stay relevant through April 2020. Things change so much, but Lucidius and I have committed to doing this through April of 2020. So that's a guarantee. It might go longer depending on how things shift and evolve, because Facebook and Instagram and Spotify and Apple, they evolving so quickly. We know this works right now. These strategies work right now. Will they work in a year from now? We don't know. So that's why we are guaranteeing that for up until the next year, we're going to keep figuring out what is working and keep tweaking. How do I know that bots won't follow or listen? I am Mr. Anti-bot. I have been fucked by bots because, like I said, I tested a playlist plugin service that I thought was a playlist plugin service, and it was not. Apparently they were using bots, which I didn't realize until my album got removed from Spotify. This is bot proof. There's no way that there's so many different steps that we take to guarantee that only humans will follow you and listen to you on the streaming services. How much money do I have to invest above the cost of the course? Facebook, Instagram, how we're using this for the marketing requires you to spend $5 a day, just so you know, and you prepare yourself that you are going to have to pay for advertising. This deals with advertising. And it's the minimum requirement is $5 a day. If you spend more, you'll see faster growth, but that's their minimum. You don't have to do it every day. You can do it for a few days, then you can pause it. So your monthly limit is up to you. How is this different from other digital marketing courses out there? There are a bunch. There's Indiepreneur and Savvy Musicians Academy and Smart Music Business and Music Manifesto, something or another. I don't know. There's a bunch of them. I've seen a lot of them. I've taken some of them. The main difference in what we're doing versus what they're doing is we only really have two objectives. Our only two objectives is growing your fans on streaming services and on Instagram. and keeping the engagement high. This is not about sales. We're not teaching you how to sell CDs. This is not yet. We may evolve there, but right now, where it's at right now is getting your fans to stream your music and to engage with you and follow you on Instagram. Those are our only two objectives right now. Is this just about setting up Facebook ads? I know everyone in here has probably set up a Facebook ad and it has not really worked. No, this is not just about setting up Facebook ads. This is actually, we don't even advertise on Facebook right now. There's actually no Facebook ads. We use the Facebook ad manager because it's very robust and controls a lot of the ads around the internet. But no, this is not about setting up just Facebook ads. And the demographic on Facebook is a lot older. And if you are targeting a younger audience, most of them are not on Facebook. Will this work for everyone? Let me save you some time, effort, energy, and money and just say no, this is not going to work for everyone. So how do you know if this is going to work for you? Well, if your music is not ready, if it's not competitive, this isn't going to work for you. How do you know if your music is ready or not? Well, I know it's very difficult to be objective about it, myself included. I can't be objective with my music to a point. I encourage you to do some market research. You can use TuneCore has fan reviews. You can do some fan reviews. You can do crowd reviews, which is what Reverb Nation is doing now, to just see if your music is up to snuff, is of the caliber that is competitive, that people are going to want to follow you and engage with you. Currently, the majority of users on Instagram and on Spotify are under 45. So if your music targets an older audience, I don't recommend this course for you right now. We are saying that you have to target younger people. And so if you're making like 80s, 90s, early 2000s indie rock or something like that, probably not going to work because that audience that you're targeting is more so in their 40s, 50s, 60s. If you're making more progressive pop rock like 1975 or something like that, or singer-songwriter rock like, Ed Sheeran, or that's more pop. But if you're making that kind of rock, sure. But you have to think about the demographics. If you're targeting an under 45 audience, yes, this can work. How many songs do you have to release? You can have one song. You can have 100 songs. You don't have to have music coming out anytime soon. Lucidius, I don't think, has released a song in a couple of years. And then we tested it when we only had 2 songs out, and it worked just fine for us. So why I'm doing this is because I have been providing the information, sharing information for years. If most of you know, I've been following Ari's Take since 2012 when I launched it, where I launched Ari's Take because I was learning so much in my own music career and I wanted to share it with people, everything I was learning, because I was seeing these incredible artists who were just not getting the attention I thought they deserved. And I would learn things and I wanted to share it with the general music community. I don't believe in competition in the music industry. I believe that a rising tide lifts all. Okay, I think I'm back. Do you got me now? Looks like Ari has Spectrum. That is true. Okay, let me know I'm back. I want to get to your questions. Yes, okay, you have me back. Yeah, thanks, Spectrum. I shut him down. Yeah, probably. Okay, cool. So I was saying that for years, I had been sharing everything I learned because I don't believe in competition in the music industry. I believe a rising tide lifts all ships. And it honestly broke my heart every time I saw an incredibly hardworking, talented band, some of my favorite artists of all time, that could not figure out how to make a music career work. And so they broke up. And it killed me. So I'm like, well, I'm learning this stuff. I'm figuring out how it works. And so I pass along the information. And then people came to me and they're like, yo, I've read all your Ari Take articles. It's helpful, but I need ways to piece this together. I need to connect the dots. What book should I read? And I've read all the music business books, and there really wasn't out there discussing what was happening now and telling those stories now. So I just realized I had to write this book because I learned so much, and I'd interviewed literally hundreds of the movers and shakers of the industry of every level. And I'm like, okay, no one is talking about this. Like, Billboard is not writing about this. Rolling Stone's not writing about this. Donald Passman in his book doesn't talk about the literally thousands and thousands of artists making really good livings today. They're just talking about all the seven-figure advances that are going around. And they're talking about all like how many records Adele and Taylor Swift sold. I'm like, I don't care about that. I want to just know how to make a music career happen. So I came out with the book. And now people have come to me and they've said, hey, I've read your book, Ari. I'm struggling with these very specific things, and I would really like some more hands-on help. So I tried to offer hands-on help. I'm only one person. And so I realized that doing a course, an online environment where we can all learn together, is the best, at least right now, that I can help a bunch of people at once, bring in talented people like Lucidius and other experts that I have. I've brought in a lot of different experts, from managers and booking agents and publicists, to help guide you. I'm fortunate enough, now being in LA, that I now have all these connections, from writing for Digital Music News and Music Connection magazine, American Songwriter, and obviously my blog and the book. I have these connections, and so I asked them to come in and share their knowledge with the community. And that's what this really is. This is a community. So that's why I launched this course. If you have, it's an investment, absolutely. $47 a month, I understand that's an investment. $497, that's a real investment. But if you're serious about your music career, you will invest in it. I have invested thousands and thousands in, probably tens, I don't know, so much money in learning and education, which is really important. And a lot of things did not work, and I learned the hard way. But if you've been with me long enough, you know that I no bullshit and that I test a lot of these things. And when something works, I'm stoked on it. And I want to share it if it's working. If it's not working, I'll tell you, this doesn't work. Don't do that. And fuck those guys for charging for that, because it doesn't work. I test it all. That's why we extensively tested this with Lucidius and these other artists and Brassers District and everything. Don't forget that money replenishes. Money comes and goes. Time does not. Lucidius spent 3 years learning this the hard way and spending lots and lots of money doing basically trial and error. That was working, it wasn't working. If you want to spend the next 3 years figuring this out on your own, absolutely go for it. You can learn this the hard way. I look at everything as a time-money equation. If I don't have much time, I'll spend more money on something. If I don't have much money, I'll spend more time on it. And that's how this works. So you have two options right now. And this is just that a little tough love that some people need, because I hear from so many talented artists that are just like, yeah, but I don't know. I don't have any money, and I'm just like, I don't have any time. And like, you're making excuses. Do you want to make this happen or not? Do you want a music career? Option number one, you have a music career. That's it. You can do it. There's literally thousands and thousands and thousands of artists, independent artists without a label, who are having very successful music careers. That's option number one. Or option number two, you can make excuses about why you don't have a music career. I'm tired of hearing the excuses. It's like, it kills me. Like, dude, you can do this if you really want to do this, but you have to have that will, and you have to have the desire and the dedication and the passion. And yes, it takes a little bit of investment. So if you want to join us in this course, awesome. If you don't, no big deal. This is for people. Let me just put this back up. If you're into direct marketing, you want to learn direct marketing, we're going to teach it to you in here. If not, all good. Join me on aristake.com. Everything there is free, or the book is, I'm sure most of you have by now. But so we're going to teach you direct marketing. Lucidius is going to literally share a screen and say, click here, do this, don't do this, don't do this. Okay, so here is that checklist again. If you want to take a screenshot so you can see it, the 3 myths and 3 truths of Spotify growth, take a screenshot. Okay, now let me open that chat box. Questions. Evan, I'm in that tonight. Yeah, so hit me questions. Who's got questions? Time is not money. Time is way more valuable. I agree. Time is way more valuable. Like I said, money replenishes, time does not. Hannah, you guys are so great. Ari and Lucidius, thank you for your work. This course is a must-have. I agree. If you're looking to find your audience online, for sure. Yeah, exactly. Just FYI, the average American spends approximately $1,100 a year, or $3 each day on a coffee. Ours course is, well, it's actually $497. Correct. You're right. So you could save buying a coffee like every other day, and that pays for this course. Can you give us, Colby, can you give us a basic overview of how the strategy works? Absolutely. We are utilizing ads. So we put together video ads. We teach you how to use video ads. And right now we're focusing on Instagram. And we're focusing on the video ads there. We've experimented with the feed and the stories, and you put the videos together. We show you which videos work, how to test them, how to optimize for the ones that work and what don't work. What we've been seeing, if for any of those who've run ads in the past, we're seeing some artists are as low as 1 cent per click. Grassroots District is hovering around 3. For a while, we were at 2 to 3 cents a click. It's fluctuated. We've been as high as 5 cents a click. We try to bring that down. But I would say the average is looking around 2 to 3 cents per click, not per view. This is per click, meaning they see the video, they're like, oh, sweet. And then they click it and it sends them to Spotify or Apple Music or wherever you want to send them to, or your Instagram profile. And if you know any other, those numbers put every digital marketing expert out there to shame. I guarantee you there's no other digital marketing person on the planet Earth that is getting less than a penny per click for what we're utilizing. That's effective. That's actually converting into Spotify listeners and followers and Instagram followers. This is for Instagram as well. So that's the basic overview of what we're doing. Is based on videos. So you kind of targeting the people, targeting the people who you think are going to like your music. So fans of similar artists, but different demographics and locations. And it kind of deals with a bunch of different things. And then showing videos to them of your music. It could be live videos, music videos, lyric videos. We've tested all different kinds of videos, and that invites them in. And then they decide if they're going to follow you or not by listening to your music. $47 a month. Some people pay a lot more for cable. That's true. How do you think this will work? This will work very well for country music. And we do have a couple country artists in there that's working well for us. Can you tell us more about marketing prior to release versus the time of release? How long before do you start promoting your upcoming release? Very good question. This is actually, so this can be run ongoing, whether you have, so like I said before, Lucidius hadn't released a new song for 2 years and started the digital marketing and went from virtually nothing to 500,000 monthly listeners without releasing any new music. Now, we just released a new song last month, and because we've been doing this, we got all these followers, And so that when the new song came out, it just like popped everything, because then all those followers new song, so they listened along with everybody else and the new people that were coming in. So I would say this is more of an ongoing thing. You could ramp it up right before you release, or I would say even right after your release. You can tone it down if you want to save money and invest in other things. So this will just kind of work as long as you're willing to invest $5 a day on it. If your music is under an LLC or independent label, does this change? No, it doesn't matter. We have managers doing this. We have labels that are taking this course, doing it for a bunch of their artists. So if you're an independent artist, or you're a manager, or you're an indie label, or whatever, it's all the same. We step you through how to set up all the back end stuff as well. Connor, question, this course teaches how to target the thriving, relevant market of Instagram users to push your music. This is a young market, and therefore you need to be relevant to this market. My music is not Ed Sheeran pop, neither is mine. And while a little nostalgic, mine is very nostalgic, I do think it's competitive in certain contemporary markets, indie rock, dream pop. But there is a surefire way that I can know if this marketing strategy. Okay, good question, Connor. Like I said, it's kind of, so I make funk music. It's very throwback 1970s style funk. However, that is kind of coming back around, and there are a lot of funk lovers out there right now. And a lot of younger ones, younger people who are into it. If you know, there's a resurgence of funk right now with Wolfpack and Fearless Flyers and Lake Street Dive and even St. Paul and the Broken Bones, and there's a lot of Scary Pockets. I mean, there's kind of these like niche, newer, younger funk artists. So that's like, I know we're tapping into that a little bit. Rock, if it's nostalgic 80s, 90s dream rock, I would say is not been as successful. So I don't recommend this really for like 80s, 90s throwback rock and roll rock music. It's really targeting an under 45 audience. So what I would say to see if this is going to be right for you is come up with 5 artists that have come to prominence within the last 5 years that sound very similar to you. So if you can't find any that sound like you, then maybe not, because that's what the younger audience is more discovering, especially teens, 20 somethings, 30 somethings. They're into finding new music. And if you cannot come up with 5 artists that have come out within the last 5 years that sound like you, this might not be the course for you. Okay. Let's see here. Phil. I'm a non-performing dance pop songwriter composer with guest vocalists. How would the course address marketing these? That's great. Yeah, you don't need to perform. Like I said, Lucidius doesn't perform at all, but he will. I'm going to get him to perform. I'm a non-performing dance pop. Yeah, so we can actually help you with the video strategy. I think it would be, we have one artist, kind of an EDM pop producer, who he doesn't show his face at all. He actually has animations for his videos that are pretty cool. And that's been working really well for him because it's right in line. At the end of the day, it has to be in line with the vibe of your project. So whatever you do, make sure it's in line with the vibe of what your sound is. So like this dreamy EDM electronic artist, these animations that he does work really well for him. Now, those kinds of animations would not work as well for this other singer-songwriter, and her videos are music videos of her like freaking the fuck out, and that works really well for her. Or Lucidius's videos is like direct into the camera rapping and stuff like that. Let me kill this slideshow. Okay, now you got me. Whoop. Oh, we have my other user there too, which I don't know. Okay. So I have 2 Aris here. So yeah, it's I think it'll work just fine for you. Zach, is there an easy way to convert playlist followers into followers of your own music? Any legwork? So that's a good question. Now, like I said, I built up my own playlist. And my own playlist called Low Volume Funk, primarily to promote Grassroots District. So yes, we convert some fans, but it's not like what we've converted through these direct marketing strategies, in part because it starts with the video. And when you see, like, you have a much longer visual memory than you do oral memory and what you hear. So when you see something, you remember it a lot longer and it sticks in there. So that's why this is converting a lot better and quicker. Converting from playlists to listeners, not really. I can tell you how to grow playlists. I've used these direct marketing strategies to get my Low Volume Funk playlist up to 18,000 followers, active followers. So that works too. But converting the playlist followers into actual fans, no one's really discovered that yet. Okay. Let me see other questions. Let's see, asking about publishing. We can also talk about royalties. Yeah, there's some questions here about where all the money comes from and what the royalties are, just so you understand what streaming money is out there and royalties are there for you. So it is basically, if you use a distributor, let's just say DistroKid, and you're going to use DistroKid because they don't take a commission, so it's easy math right now, to send your music to all the streaming services. All the money that DistroKid pays you, that's just the money that's generated for the master, the sound recording, just the recording itself. So if you do a cover song or you didn't write the song, DistroKid's still going to pay you the same amount. For the most part. Well, actually, they take a little off to pay the publishers as well, but it's the recording that is coming in. And if you wrote the song, so DistroKid pays you for the sound recording, the master, the recording, the actual recording, and then you need to get that publishing money because you wrote the song. Some of it's going to come from your PRO in the states that ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, SOCANs in Canada, PRS is in the UK. Every country has their own performing rights organization, but also that's just performance royalties, but also that's like 50% is performance royalties, and then the other 50% are mechanical royalties. Some countries have mechanical rights collections societies. You can sign up with them. In the States, we're going to have one. We don't have just one. We have a few, but they don't really collect internationally. So I encourage you to work with an admin publishing company like a Song Trust or a Centric. They will collect your worldwide publishing royalties. Currently, you make a lot more money from the sound recordings. It's about 5 to 1 right now. It's going up, but basically you make about 5 times the amount that on the recording than you do on the publishing. Just so you know. Okay. Cool. So if you have any other, let's see, any other questions here? Use animations well for your marketing videos. Very cool. I dig that. Royalty registration. Yeah. Hopefully that answered your question. Charles, for your content strategy, is it only about the music or does it focus more on the artist itself? So the way that we are doing this now is that we are targeting, the video is actually very short videos because people make up their minds within the first 5 seconds if they're going to click through to visit your Spotify or Apple Music or Instagram profile, or they're going to close out of your video. So we optimize your videos to make sure that the first 5 seconds, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, are going to capture them. And that's why we test a bunch of different kinds of videos and make sure that you find the best one to get your cost per click down to that 2 cents, 1 cent, 3 cents. That's what you want to be looking at. So it's not really a visual representation of the full artist. You can't really communicate the full artist within 5 seconds, but that's your job then to welcome them into your Instagram world and then communicate that to them through your Instagram. And so through Spotify, they can listen to your music. And then on Instagram, that's how you showcase your brand as an artist, who you are, what is the vibe of your artist, of your artist project. That's what one of the best things about Instagram is now. You can really communicate what the vibe of your project is through Instagram. And what we found also is that they're starting to find us on YouTube. So we haven't actually been pointing anybody to YouTube. We're not advertising on YouTube. We're not sending people from Instagram to YouTube, but people are finding us on YouTube. We only have a couple videos out, and one of them I think is like 10,000 views or something, which we haven't promoted any of our YouTube stuff, but people are finding these and commenting, and lots of comments are coming on there saying, I found you from Instagram or whatever. So that's cool. That's happening. How integral is IGTV? Not at all right now. I mean, that's up to you if you want to, if we can talk about it. We've experimented with IGTV, but that's not what this is about. That's for your own Instagram profile. You can use IGTV, and yeah, let me know how you're using it. Okay. So yeah, great question. They said, how much time do you have to spend on this course? The lessons, it'll take you probably a few hours to get set up, to go through the lessons, maybe about 5 hours to go through everything, create all the stuff you need, and then get it up. Once it's up and it's just tweaking, once it's up and it's running, you don't really need to spend much time on it. Yeah, Lucid said less than 20 minutes a day, if that. Honestly, you could even pop in every other day and check it out and tweak it. So yeah, there's 3.5 hours of instruction. It'd probably take you another hour or two to kind of create the videos and then go through and actually like set everything up. So it's not that much time, but it's very complicated. So you have to kind of go through and follow all the steps that we lay out. But then once you get it, and you're set. And then it's just like tweaking, and that's what we're in the Facebook group for, is to kind of help you through that. So yeah, enrollment is open right now. I said we have a week, or the next 8 days to sign up, and you'll get that live Q&A. We may close enrollment as we get too many people in the group. We may shut it down. So I would just do this now, because it may shut down at any moment as we talk and we're like, okay, that's enough people in the group. Let's pause it for now. We have to kind of update some of the lessons, because, you know, if Facebook, Instagram, Spotify, Apple Music starts changing things, we want to keep it current and relevant, and we want to make sure that we're providing the value for the students. And if you know me, you've been with me for more than just today, you know that that's the most important thing for me, is to, I like very passionately care about helping musicians out with this. And so I want to deliver on the value. I know you're investing in this, and I will not let you down. So if I see that it's too much for us to handle, there's too many people, we can't answer all the questions, and people are falling behind, then we'll probably shut it down and shut down enrollment, not the course. Obviously, we're going to stay with you and be with you every step of the way. So I wouldn't wait too long. I can't guarantee that we won't shut down enrollment for a time being. So I would just, you know, if you want to do this, do it now. And then you'll always be with us until at least April of 2020. Okay. Lucid, Ari, are you guys taking clients, running campaigns? No, we're not really doing one-on-one stuff. We tried that. It's just, we're both artists. We both have our own music careers. So we have enough time to kind of help you out with inside this Facebook group and set up this course where we can teach a lot of people at once. I've done some consulting in the past, one-on-one consulting. Lucid has done some one consulting as well. I love helping people. I don't have the time for that anymore. Lusa doesn't have the time for that anymore. We're both artists. That's our main focus. So we're giving our all to this course, but at the same time, that's why we're not doing the one-on-one consulting anymore. Okay. So I think we got to most of the questions. So if you have any other questions, feel free to ask. I have a public Facebook group called Ari's Take New Music Business. Anyone can join that. That's the public one. That's for anything. I think there's 1,000 some in there. You can ask questions there. I'll be in there. You can ask me more questions there. And otherwise, I will see you if you decide to join us in the course. Cool. Hopefully this was helpful for you today. Hopefully I demystified some of the ways that you can grow on Spotify. And I will see you soon. Yeah. If you're not on my email list, go to aristake.com, sign up for that. I send out all the new reports and studies and comparisons and everything that I do there. All right. Have a wonderful rest of your day, night, morning, whatever time it is for wherever you are. And I will see you next time. Peace.